All right, in this video, we're going to talk about how to solve absolute value inequalities. Similar process to that of solving absolute value equations, but because we have this inequality sign, it's going to be a little bit different in the end. I'm not going to get one or two answers where x equals a specific number. So x could be smaller or larger than some set of numbers, and we'll talk about what that looks like here in a sec. So the first thing I want to do is, are the absolute value bars by themselves? Answer to that is yes. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use a different color here so we know this is kind of some side work. I'm going to set up x minus 3 equals positive 7. And in the same way, I'm going to set up x minus 3 equals negative 7. So I'm using red here because this is just a small step in the overall picture of what we want to do, but I'm going to start very similarly. So that's a 0. I got x equals 10. And then I add 3. That's a 0. So I got x equals negative 4. So here's what this means, right? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go back into blue. So now we're back to the inequality part, right? But I did the part in red where I used the equal sign so I could find the 10 and the negative 4, right? And then I've got 0 somewhere in the middle. Now, I know I'm going to use open circles on the negative 4 and 10 because here I have the less than sign without the or equal to. So that's why I'm going to use an open circle here. So now I'm going to choose a number that's larger than 10 because I want to look for a number that's in this area, right? So let's say I pick 11. So I'm going to come over here and plug in 11. So I have the absolute value of 11 minus 3 is less than 7, which is the same thing as absolute value of 8 is less than 7. Absolute value of 8 is 8, so now I have 8 is less than 7. That is an untrue statement. So what that means is I do not want to use any points that are over here to the right of 10, all right? So I'm going to exclude those from my answer. Now I'm going to choose a point that's right in the middle. So I'm going to choose 3. I'll show you why. So I got absolute value of 3 minus 3 is less than 7. 3 minus 3 is 0. So I have the absolute value of 0 is less than 7. Absolute value of that is 0. So I have 0 is less than 7. That is a true statement. So I do want to include the points that are between negative 4 and 10. All right. And then the last one, I was going to choose a point outside of here, so I'm going to choose negative 5. Let's plug that in. So I have absolute value of negative 5 minus 3, less than 7. Negative 5 minus 3 is negative 8. So I have the absolute value of negative 8 is less than 7. Well, the absolute value of negative 8 is 8, so 8 is not less than 8. That is not a true statement. So therefore, I do not want to include points on this side of the negative 4. So what I know now is all the points that I want to include, all the coordinates, all the x values are going to be between negative 4 and 10. So when I write that as an inequality, I write it like this. So remember, the original had the less than sign without the or equal to line underneath it, so I want to continue to use the same signs here. So here we know any value that is greater than negative 4 but less than 10 will make this statement here true. All right, so pause the video, go down here, do the exact same process, try it on your own. It's a little bit different. See where you get, and we'll check it together. All right, now that you've had a chance to try this on your own, we're going to work it together. So the absolute value bars, they are by themselves. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to do a little side work. I want to find my numbers that I'm going to use to check, right? So I got x plus 4 equals negative 2 and 2. So now I have negative 2 and negative 6 are my points, right? So let's go back and create our number line. So now I have negative 6, negative 2, and then zeros over here just for reference point, right? And now on these, I have the or equal to under there. So now I'm going to close the circle on negative 6 and negative 2. So now we need to determine, do I want my points to the left of negative 6, in the middle of those 2 points, or to the right of that? So I'm going to choose numbers one at a time, plug them in from each location. I'm going to choose to plug in a 0 because it's to the right of the negative 2. So I have 0 plus 4. So 0 plus 4 is 4. So I have absolute value of 4 greater than 2. Absolute value of 4 is 4, so I have 4 is greater than or equal to 2. I know that is a true statement, so that means I do want to include points to the right of that negative 2. All right, now I want to choose a point in the middle. I'm going to choose negative 4. Now I have negative 4 plus 4 is greater than or equal to 2. I have negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So I have the absolute value of 0 is greater than or equal to 2. That is the absolute value is 0. So I have 0 is greater than or equal to 2. That is not a true statement, so I do not want to include these points in between. All right, now the last thing to check is I want to check, we'll call negative 8. All right, negative 8 plus 4 is greater than or equal to 2. Negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. Absolute value of negative 4 is greater than 2. Absolute value of negative 4 is 4. So I got 4 is greater than or equal to 2. That is a true statement. So I do want to include these points right here in my answers. So now I don't want, the only thing I don't want is between there. So what I do now is I got to write two inequalities. I want to say, okay, x has got to be less than or equal to negative 6, and x has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. That would include all of my points written in inequality notation. So anything in these shaded areas here and here would make this statement true. So remember, use that number line to help yourself out. There are other ways to do it where you don't have to use that number line. I like to go ahead and plug in my points in each of those 3 locations just to confirm whether the numbers in that area would or would not work. All right, hope this video helps. We'll see you in the next one.